Okay everyone, tomorrow the champions return to Celtic Park for the first time since they were crowned champions, and on Sunday we could have new Celtic champions crowned at the very same ground. We're going to chat about all of that on today's video, as well as some of the news that's happened and is happening right now, and there's a fair lot of it today, so it might be a bit of a kind of quick fire roundup type thing. Let's do it. But we start with the rather sad news that honest, hard-working, humble, much-loved 67 Hail figure Stevie has been spotted in hospitality. Yes, at last night's Scott Brown and Mikael Lustig event at the Hydro, he was apparently lording it up. Reports go that the 54-year-old was invited along to a, get this, drinks and manipes reception before heading to the Hydro via a private entrance. I mean, what has happened here? I was obviously invited too, but had to turn it down. Couldn't do that to you, of course. I do actually at this stage have a direct report from Stevie on last night's event, and some photos to go along with it as well that he sent along. He's emailed me this, genuinely emailed me this from the GigPod account. And I've not actually read it yet, so we're all going to read this together and we'll see how much I have to actually edit out of this. Probably shouldn't read that first sentence for a start. Right, pre-event, pics attached at Crown Plaza, drinks plentiful and food beautiful. Down the equivalent of 2 bottles of champagne in 1 hour and a half. Please drink responsibly, everyone, I should say that. I met Hendo, that would be darts legend John Henderson, before the event kicked off. I think you can see a photo there. What a moment, Stevie says. Bruni Lustig event. Lustig came out first, montage of his best moments. Brown then came out, montage of his best moments. Very thorough report this. First guest was Gordon Strachan, who stole the show. He was outstanding. Said a bit that brought the house down when Bruni was being wide, and he went, well, we really wanted Kevin Thompson, so I had to take what I could with you. Very good. Biggest roar of the night was when Ange Postecoglou came out. Crowd went ballistic and took about 5 minutes or so to get Brown and Lustig talking again. It was a reaction you'd expect, but still incredible. Strachan paid tribute to Ange for just getting on with things and not making a fuss. There was a funny Gavin Strachan laptop patter as well. Ange and Strachan seem to have a very good relationship. This bit is really good, Stevie says. Strachan was talking about the late great Tommy Burns, and I nearly burst into tears, albeit I was steaming. When Brown was talking about his sister, who sadly died in 2008 after a year-long battle with cancer, and Tommy Burns, while in hospital, still took the time to ask after her and send her flowers. Generally, a huge applause at the memories of Tommy Burns. I've heard that story a number of times, and you know, shows the mark of the guy who obviously didn't have his troubles to seek at that time as well. Strachan then paid tribute to Brown when he returned for Scotland, saying he was a massive help for him in that position. Bruni rounded it off, saying he knew the last season was a shocker, never shied away from it, owned it, and said without the fans the players were lost, and that the fans are the most important part of the club. It seemed like a full house, the fans were in good spirits and the event was a success. Brown and Lustig really seemed to enjoy the send-off as well. Hydro DJ even played Phil Collins at the interval for me. He asked me for a song. Oh, this is someone Stevie knows was doing the DJ and apparently played Phil Collins for him. Apparently that's a big deal. After it, I went home. I'm kind of worried where this is going now. I went home, but my pal, who is another well-known Celtic podcast legend, went to the Radisson Red for the after party. He's now listed the alcoholic beverages he consumed last night, like David Brent. Downed beer, champagne, gin, Guinness, wine and vodka. And Stevie finishes by saying, hangover level, 9 out of 10, up there, with my worst ever. He did then send on another wee message. It said, just to thank those of you who came up to him last night, and I quote, apologies if I was a slabbering mess. So it certainly seems like Stevie had a very fun night last night. I would laugh about him clearly having the fear if I hadn't experienced the exact same thing on Monday after the Player of the Year event. Were you at the Hydro last night? What did you make of it? Is that an accurate report from Stevie? It sounded like it was generally a great night. That lots of good stories and, a really good atmosphere, maybe a little bit too much kind of singing and stuff when people were talking, but I wasn't there, so I can't really comment. But that was last night, and I think the main thing with these things that are attached to the foundation, a lot of money raised. They're just raising a lot of money this year, the foundation, with all the various things they've got going on. Just in fact, while we're on the foundation, I had a wee bit of news for later on. I'll just do it now. It was concerning Callum McGregor yesterday, who has agreed to become a Celtic Foundation ambassador, which I thought was a nice story. I know the Foundation's badge that they do every year this year is going to be in the shape of a Celtic shirt with McGregor 42 on the back, and you'll be able to buy them before and after the Trophy Day game against Aberdeen. One of those involved last night that we may have mentioned was Scott Bain, and the report that actually came out last night suspiciously while he was on stage from the Daily Mail is that he's apparently about to sign a new 3-year deal with the club. Bain was meant to be out of contract at the end of next season, so not quite sure if this deal will kick in from now, so 3 years from now, which would be 2026, or 3 years from when his contract was meant to end, which would be 2027. I guess it doesn't really matter. It's good news, good to have a guy around with that experience, apparently a good guy to have around as well. And I think it will also help us with the whole homegrown UEFA quota as well. So Scott Bain, long-term contract. He may not be the only one about to get a long-term contract at Celtic either, because there are rumours swirling that Ange Postecoglou may be offered one soon. This all seems to come from an image of him, Dermot Desmond, and an unnamed third man at Celtic Park. Now, there's nothing really to verify whether this actually took place this week or like during the summer or last year or whenever. And it's kind of just rumours at this stage. They could have been discussing anything. I know Ange has referenced in the past that he only ever really hears from Dermot Desmond after defeats, so maybe genuinely that's what was happening after we obviously lost to Ibrox last week. Ange, as we you'll probably know, isn't mad on long-term contracts. He doesn't see it as a big deal. He likes to keep people on their toes, and he quite likes the feeling of being kept on his toes as well. And he feels that long-term contracts don't really mean anything anyway, because you still have the same chance of being sacked, which I guess he's got a point. However, having said that, huge revelation here. I don't think Ange Postecoglou is ever going to be sacked from Celtic. I think he's only going to leave either, of his own volition, or he's going to go be pinched by a club in a more attractive league, maybe. At some point over the next, 5 years or so, one of those two things is going to happen. So it probably would make sense to get him on a lengthy contract from a Celtic point of view, just so that if that does happen at some stage, we're going to get, millions of pounds, just like we did for Brendan Rodgers. I think we get 9 million from Leicester for Rodgers and his backroom team. But the big thing for me with the whole Ange contract chat is the boost it would give everyone at the club. It would just be a massive boost to have Ange signed on long term. It's not something I've necessarily bothered with. I know we've had comments throughout the last probably 18 months, people saying, when's Ange going to get a contract? When's Ange going to get a contract? It's not the way Celtic do things. It's apart from Rodgers, probably over the last 20 years, it has all been a 1-year rolling deal. But Ange is special, and it would be a statement of intent, I think, if we were to sign him up in a long-term contract. So I'd be a fan of that. Whether it happens or not, we will have to wait and see. Right, a few fan developments now. We're going to try and rattle through these stories because Stevie's taken so much time up of this video. Green Brigade are doing a bucket collection to raise funds for their tifos tomorrow. I believe we're still looking at a big one for Trophy Day, although I don't think that's been confirmed by them yet. They've also mentioned something for the Scottish Cup final, which, let's face it, would be pretty much a full stadium tifo, possibly, given that we're going to have effectively the full stadium for that final against Inverness. They're also getting behind the women's team on Sunday. Probably a good wee point here just to kind of move into the SWPL lane and talk about what's to come on Sunday, because it's a major day for Fran Alonso and the team. As I exclusively revealed, it's fun to say that, on Monday, the game is going to be at Celtic Park on Sunday. So Celtic versus Hearts. Now, this is what the SWPL table currently looks like. So it's a wee bit of a weird looking table, but it's quite helpful going into the last day. So that's goals scored on the left, goal difference in the middle, and points on the right. And it's so tight that all three could come into the debate, and also all three teams can obviously win the league. We are currently third in the league, as you can see, but I think we've got a decent chance of coming out on top on Sunday. And that is because the other two teams in the reckoning here, Glasgow City and Rangers, face each other at Ibrox. So, as far as we're concerned, we need Glasgow City to drop points. We need Rangers to get a positive result. Come on, Rangers! No. Someone's going to clip that bit of me shouting, "Come on, Rangers." Yeah, we need Rangers to do us a favour here, but there's a decent chance of it happening because they can win the league themselves if they win. As far as we're concerned, we need to hope that Rangers draw or win against Glasgow City, and then the issue would probably be our goal difference and trying to beat Hearts by as many as we can. And given that we're at home at Celtic Park, and given that Hearts are nowhere near at the level of this Celtic team, or even Glasgow City, who we beat 3-1 a couple of weeks ago, I think there's a fair chance we could get a big victory. And hopefully Glasgow City don't win their game. If City win their game, they've won the league. You can see that from the points tally. But it is going to be a very exciting Sunday. There's no helicopter involved. They've already confirmed it's going to be an SUV Sunday. Obviously, games taking place Celtic Park and Ibrox. It's going to be brilliant. Ticket sales have apparently been excellent as well. Fair chance that we beat the 9,500 that we had 10 days ago for the Glasgow City game. I wouldn't like to guess exactly how many, but if we sell more than that, it's going to be a fine afternoon. I'm going, can't wait for. I'm actually in the Celtic end rather than media this time, so really looking forward to the atmosphere. And tickets are still available. If you can't go, the game is on the BBC Scotland channel, I believe. Another thing, just moving back to the men's game that I wanted to touch on, incoming Rangers CEO James Bisgrove, who you may remember is most famous for both signing up to and then pulling out of the Ange homecoming tour in Sydney, has been speaking about the prospect of away fans at Celtic Rangers matches next season. He says that 800 away fans will be the maximum number at derbies next season. Now, that's kind of the headline. He kind of expanded on it, saying it's definitely an area we're going to look at, and we're going to have dialogue with all the right stakeholders and authorities, be that Police Scotland, be that Celtic. We hear and we recognise all the different viewpoints on that. Absolutely, we're going to look at that and then see where those discussions go in terms of next season. Personally, I hope Celtic just tell them to ram the allocation next season. If we can't at least get to like the 5% European allocation, I don't think we should accept anything for Ibrox, and I don't actually think the club will, because we didn't for the game just there due to safety concerns. So what really would have changed next year? But more than that, I really want Celtic to come out and set the record straight about what has led us to this point, because there's a narrative building here that both clubs are to blame. I almost, and I stress almost, put a hole in my telly watching the game on Saturday, and it wasn't Bernabé's performance, it was something Andy Walker said. He commented, I can't remember exactly, but he said both clubs just need to sort this out, this allocation thing. It's ruining the fixture. And it's like, if you bothered to look at what Celtic are saying, then it would be clear that we want to go back to the way things were with the large allocation. It's Rangers who are preventing that from happening. But Celtic need to say that publicly, because there is this narrative building, and you know what you know what people are like when they'll muddy the waters and how things will be remembered. Celtic want large allocations. It wasn't us that spat the dummy out after getting scudding after scudding at home to our rivals and watching their fans celebrate. So I'd love to see Celtic do those two things. And yeah, as Ange would say, we should only get kind of bothered about what we can control, and we can't control what Rangers want to do. Tomorrow, Celtic are back at Celtic Park for the first time, I think, in 94 days or something like that. That's what it seems like. We are playing St Mirren. They're sitting 6th in the league, bottom of the top 6. Looking like a tough ask for them to get into Europe. It is a wee bit of a nothing game, if I'm totally honest. I think it would be lovely to see Celtic really turn up and put in a good performance after last week, and I think that's what we will see. But in terms of the actual result, yeah, the league is already wrapped up. It'll just be nice to see Celtic Park pretty full, which I think it will be tomorrow, and really have a bit of a party as champions. It's the first time we'll all have been together inside Celtic Park since we were crowned champions. John Kennedy did the media conference earlier today. The team news is the same as last week, so I think that means Welsh, CCV and Johnson are still missing. Team-wise, I'd like to see something different tomorrow. Whether we do or not, I don't know. Will we see Rocco Vata start? Will we see Ben Summers start? It would seem like a good opportunity to do that. Bosun Lawal, maybe another one. This is the team that I'm going for. Joe Hart in between the sticks. A back four of Ralston, Starfelt, Kobayashi and Taylor. Midfield three. I'd like to see this trio because I don't think we've ever seen them certainly start together. McGregor, Iwata, Hitati. Yes, please. I am going for Rocco Vata on the right. I just think it's a good opportunity to give him a start at Celtic Park. Go and see what you can do. There's no real pressure on you, but let's go and see what you can do. Maida and Kyogo as well, who didn't start last week, so should be raring to go. Yeah, I mean, we do have Hibs coming up on Wednesday night, so maybe like you'll want to play your strong team on trophy day, so maybe we'll see strong team tomorrow, some changes in midweek, and then strong on Saturday. That's what Ange likes to do, but I think that team I've put out is pretty strong, but I'd like to see Vata given a go. We will have a post-match video for you tomorrow. I think Asim is going to join me for that, given that Stevie will no doubt still be hungover, but he had a good night last night. And yeah, enjoy rest of your Friday. Enjoy the game tomorrow, wherever you're watching, and we'll have a video for you in the evening.